Okay, what's up? It's Dave Blair. I'm just doing a very on-the-fly ad hoc test for some delay pedals. I got the El Capistan I've been playing with for a couple weeks, and I'm kind of digging it. It actually has a cool sound. And I'm comparing it to the Timeline and the Diamond and the T-Rex. See what where it fits in the context. I kind of like it actually. And let me just play some stuff. Let me just play a little bit of that Timeline. This is the setting that I've been using, which is the kind of dark. Faster. So what I really like about this is that you can make the tape age really nice and pristine. It's still kind of smooth, but it's more, that first repeat is very much like the original note. Or you can darken it up quite a bit. When you do something like that, it doesn't interfere with the initial note that you're playing. So if you want to play a lead, it won't. You get the ambiance. Do if it's all the way bright. It's still not that bad, but if you start doing something with like a lead. It may step on itself, but if I make it dark. And then you can also add some modulation with the while and flutter. So this is very pretty. So if you do something like just a nice little chord. It's pretty, but now if I add the modulation. Put it up pretty high so you can hear the effect. Let's get that shimmery thing going. Pretty. It's kind of like a smooth sound. I probably wouldn't have it that wet. Normally I would set it just a little bit and maybe have it pretty dark, but not all the way. So this is kind of where I've been using it, kind of. I wouldn't have it this wet, but just so you could hear the effect well. So let's compare this. Actually, I was thinking, oh, well, I already have, I have Timeline, so why can't, they're both Strymons, and Timeline has a tape. But what I found, at least from my experimenting, is that I could not get the Strymon Timeline tape sound to sound anywhere near like the El Capistan. So here's a Timeline tape setting. We get the tempo about the same. Even if you mess with the settings. This is like more of a dark, this is about as dark as it's going to get. Increase the repeat so you could hear it closer to the way the other one was set. And the winds. Okay, so this is a little closer to the settings on the previous one. So you get this. You could hear the breakup of the repeats. And there's a little bit of modulation there. I think that's I think the depth is the modulation. So if I put the modulation, so this is a setting that's somewhat similar to what I have on the Capistan. Sorry. But I couldn't really get it to darken up in the same way that I did in this guy. The modulation up since it was high on the timeline. So if I did like something like El Capistan, and I'll try the timeline. Close, but the Capistan I think it darkens up a little more, just a little smoother. It's if you're gonna be, really particular, I could see that someone preferring the sound of the Capistan a little bit. That modulation sounds really nice, and then this is about as close as I could get. It doesn't darken up the same way, but it's a good sound too. But you could hear, obviously they're both Strymons. It has a Strymon has a certain sound to it. Now, let's also compare to some other guys. These are both the Diamond and the T-Rex Replica are both digital pedals. These are all digital pedals trying to emulate like analog type of sounds. So let's get a sound going on the T-Rex. See what this guy sounds like. Now I have the button. There's a brown button which makes it darker, and I have that set right now because I think right now we're kind of comparing the darkish sound of the Strymon. This analog warm, quote unquote warm sound. It's a nice sound as well. Capistan. A little bit slower. Trying to get the tempo the same. My tempo tapping skills are bad today. No, it wouldn't be that dark. No. T-Rex. Now, one thing about the T-Rex is it does not have any modulation. The Diamond has a really nice modulation. So all of these have their own little pluses and minuses, and sound-wise. I mean, any one of these, that's why I still have them, because I've had many delays that I've sold, and these ones do have a really nice flavor to them. So let's check out the Diamond. Setting is like. This is the Diamond, the modulation. I kind of like the modulation on the Diamond best of all of these. get a similar sound on the Capistan. So here's the Capistan with the wow and flutter, which is, I guess, the equivalent to a modulation. Now I have it set dark. I'll set it a little. This thing with the diamond, again, you don't have a tone control, which would make it awesome if it did. Be much cooler if you did. Very nice sound. Back to the diamond. There's the diamond it has a smooth, warm sound. It doesn't sound digital or anything like that. Actually, it probably sounds more analog than either the Strymons. The Strymons, my ear hears a little bit of a digitalness. Even it's a very good sound though. But there's no tone on this, so. But it is a nice, smooth, warm sound. Compared to the T-Rex. The T-Rex, you don't have a tone control, but you can make it. Right now I have the brown button down. Let me turn it off. Now this is the brighter of the two modes of the brown thing on the T-Rex. See how that compares to the diamond. So I'd say the brighter sound is pretty much similar in tone to the diamond as far as the now kind of brightness. But I really dig the fact that you can darken up that, and then it gets it more in the realm of the Capistan, darker mode. So Capistan with a pretty dark setting. T-Rex in its darker mode. The T-Rex, one thing I found, it kind of imparts the tone even on your dry signal a little bit, almost like a nothing. It has this volume control, this level, which affects the input, which affects your actual dry true tone as well. We have zero echo. It has a little bit of a sound to it, which is a good sound, I think. It kind of adds a little more of a slight bit of girth to it. Add a little bit of fuzz, just so we got fuzz with a humbucker pickup. Put the delay on it. Capistan. Timeline. The tempo. It was sustaining note, so timeline. El Cap. Oh. I'll take some of that flutter off. Make it a little darker just to see what that one sounds like. Timeline again. T-Rex. but the volume was backed off, so it was a little. Dark mode. Let me brighten it up. The brighter mode. And diamond. They all sound really good actually, but it depends what you're going for. I like the fact on the El Capistan that you could have a lot of flexibility. I haven't even touched the reverb circuit on there, but the fact that you could darken it is really good. The diamond overall has I think the best modulation, and it's a little more. It's a little trying less to be a tape. These three right now, the settings are kind of set for a tape. T-Rex is trying to be a tape, I think. It has that smoothish sound. The El Capistan is obviously trying to be a tape, and right now, at least, I have the timeline on tape-ish setting. Diamond, I'm not sure what it's trying to. If it's trying to be a tape, or I think it's trying to be more like a Bucket Brigade. But one thing I like about the Diamond is it has a real nice slap back. But I'll pull the modulation back. Turn the modulation off for a second. It's got a nice. So that first delay. The thing with tapes, though, for slapback, their first repeat is a little smoother, so you don't have that percussionist that you might want on a slapback. On the T-Rex doing. So it's a little bit smoother, so you don't have that percussive type of thing. And then. Capistan does a pretty good job of it. I'm trying a little darker. Try the timeline. I'll just do a. Well, that setting probably isn't good. I think I have a tap setting here somewhere. Here's a slap back. Let me get wetter. Tricky thing with the timeline is you could play around with the menus all day and try to tweak it and try to get it closer, which to me is something I don't like doing. I want to get a sound and either get it or not get it. I turn a couple of knobs, like with these other ones. I was like, oh, I can see what it does. I like pedals that don't have a million options, but what the options do have, it's pretty flexible. Like the Capistan, you have that tone, the wow and flutter, and that gives you actually sonically a lot of options. The tone knob. I think the tone knob almost makes this in a live, real situation more flexible than timeline, because I could just reach down and get it from bright to dark, and that's probably the most important factor in how that's going to sit in a mix, more than a million other little parameters. Diamond. T-Rex again. So, I mean, they all sound good. I would say El Capistan is a good combination of a lot of flexibility, and that tone control is really usable. When I did the demo of the D1 a while ago, it has an option of a dark and an attack control, which makes it very flexible. But I said in the demo, when I made it dark, when I made it sounded. When I made it dark and or had the other control that made it try to make it dirtier, tries to make it more analog, more vintage. To me, it sounded like a digital that was trying to add artifacts to make it sound dark and grittier, not like a tape, an old tape that would just kind of have more of a natural, organic sound, to use a cliche. But the Capistan does it a little more. I can still hear the digitalness if I'm really, being crazy. But overall, that was the T-Rex. Capistan. It does sound very good. I can't see someone going live with this and not feeling that they could get a good sound out of it they liked. I do still think the modulation of the diamond just has a beautiful tone to it, even better than the Capistan with the wound flutter. Although the Capistan does a nice job with that, doing things like it does have a nice sheen tone. So there's not one, and then the T-Rex has a sound to it that is kind of that warmth to it, and it has its own sound, and it works. I've hit it hard with distortion sometimes, and it kind of creates some nice little overtones because the way I don't know if it's a preamp circuit or where the input volume works on it, it imparts a little bit of its own sound to it, similar to some other delay pedals that have like a preamp, like the Echoplex or the Bill Epoch or things like that. So I haven't found one that I'm like, oh, this blows them all away. The Timeline, I don't like menu diving. So for me, it's a lot of options, a lot of sounds, but there's almost too many I gigged with it for a few years, and I played with the settings a number of times to see. It had some cool presets that I put together, and in the context of a live gig, I used a slapback, a delay, and then a longer delay for like Floyd, and then maybe a wetter or drier version of that, depending if I was hitting it with gain or not. Sometimes you want to back it off if you're hitting it with gain, so it doesn't step on itself. But so for me, I just want something that sounds really good and is flexible. So I'm still looking. Those new UAs that are coming out, I'm really curious about those because it gives you a sound that, from the demos, sound like they could be better than an El Capistan or better than all the the other things that are out there. The Echo Station, the Timeline, not quite as flexible as an Echo Station or the Timeline, but has a lot of quite a bit of flexibility, like an El Capistan, but with more options because it has bucket brigade and it has tape. It's supposed to sound phenomenal from the demos. It does sound beautiful, and it has one preset, which is annoying. It's better than, I think the Strymon doesn't have a preset. I think you can buy a favorites button, which is annoying. It's like, is it that hard to put at least 2 or 3 presets? There's $150 pedals that have 2 and 3 and 9 presets or whatever. If you have to do one preset, but you could do 2 or 3, and then it would be beautiful. Anyway, sound-wise, I would be happy to gig with any one of these. It depends on the week which ones. I've been using the Strymon lately. I really dig it with the darker mode, but the Diamond and the T-Rex have their own flavors too. So I'm really curious how the UA Starlight is going to compare to these guys, and if it really is all they're saying. It's like the best sounding thing out there. But Strymon, actually, I was, because everybody has it, I was like not wanting to like it because it's like the McDonald's. It's like everybody's got it, everybody has it, and I'm like, but it's a good pedal. It's you can't, it's one of those things where it's like a good workhorse. It does what it does it well. Used they're like $225, $250, which is not cheap, but it's a high quality. You could use it for recordings. Um, I could see, lately I've been using this one a little bit more, just because maybe because it's new, or I'm using it I'm getting it from Pedal Genie, so I didn't give it back for 2 weeks, which is a good sign. So, again, it comes down to that tone knob. It's got a good sound, but when you could darken it up like that or brighten it up, it got a nice smooth sound to it. It's as good as anything else here, I think, which is a nice, in my opinion. Although they all have their own little flavor, so it's a matter of taste. Anyway, so there's your El Capistan. Nice. And I can hit it with some gain for final. Now this is gain in from the amplifier, so I'll probably back this up. One thing I found a little bit, when you hit it with some gain, sometimes even when it's dark, it still kind of has that. When it inevitably, when you're pointing it to the front of an amp and you have a high gain amp, you're going to have some of the lead notes. If you have it too wet, they're going to clash with each other. So I pull back the mix, but some more than others will clash in a better or worse way, and sometimes. I think sometimes they clash in a way that's I don't think is as pleasant as, let's say, this one's pretty wet. Not the quite. So this is the Capistan. T-Rex. Even when you could hear a little bit of clashing, but it's a little bit of a darker clashing, where something in the upper mids is clashing here. It's not very wet at all. I make it a little wet, it's more obvious. Whereas if I make this more wet. With this guy. Kind of a clash in there too, because that one's a little brighter. So they all kind of do that. So you kind of back off the wetness, but just to my ear, sometimes when it clashes, it's a little less pleasant on the Capistan than it is on these guys. That's being very particular, and that's just me. But usually you would just darken it up and turn the mix down when you're hitting the front of the amp with a high gain, so that you don't get those notes clashing, or run it through your effects loop like people who aren't lazy like me do. I just don't want more cables to run and all that. But maybe I will run it through the effects loop at some point. By the way, it's a Mesobarba Skill 30 that I was running through. No other effects were on at the time, and it's got a custom-made speaker with like an EV in it. I'm not sure, but this speaker sounds good, but it's not a store-bought one. It was custom-made, so. Anyway, that was me ranting for I don't know how long, 20-some odd minutes about delay pedals. So it's more for my own self, so when I try other pedals, I can compare them to this video and see which ones I liked. Hasta la vista, baby.